Welcome back to the best CELPIP speaking series on the internet, where we have up to now covered all 8 parts. This is the final part. You will see the 4-part series in the description. If you haven't checked out the first 3 parts, we go over the initial questions there. Do check it out, because this is exactly what you need and all you need for CELPIP speaking. Now, in this final video of the series, we're going to cover questions 7 and 8. Question number 7 is the opinion question. Here, you will have a debate type of question where you will be presented with a situation like this, and you have to give your opinion and debate it with your examples and explanations. The question here is, the retirement age should be raised to 67 instead of 65. What is your opinion on this and why? So the very first thing you gotta do is come up with an opinion. It starts with something like this, your first sentence. While the question of raising the retirement age is certainly a perplexing one. So here you are rephrasing the question, talking about this situation and just calling it a perplexing one. Perplexing, advanced word. Certainly, adverb. So it gives you a good start. Plus, when you say while da-da-da, and then da-da-da, you have 2 clauses giving you a complex sentence at the very start, which gives you marks right away. Now here you say, I firmly believe that. You gotta be firm, you gotta be assertive throughout this answer because you are debating and you gotta show your passion. That keeping it at 65 would be the best course of action. That's it. You state your opinion and look at how we are doing this. We are not saying, both things are good, but this is a little better. We have pros and cons. No. You pick one side. That is a requirement of this question, and you explain that one side. Don't do both sides. So, in your starting statement, the most important one, you have clarified the opinion. Now, you get into the body. In the body, you should have 3 points. This is a 90-second question, which requires you to do 3 points. The first point starts with the connector mainly. The second connector is going to be in much the same way. The third connector is going to be what's more. All 3 connectors are different in the way they are said. One-worded connector with an adverb. In much the same way, multiple words used, and here just 2 words used, and also it's a unique connector, giving you that mark for uniqueness. Now let's talk about what goes in these points. Let's have a look at some examples. The first point could sound something like this. Mainly, raising the retirement age to 67 disregards decades of hard-earned service from workers who have contributed to society's foundation. At 65, many have already sacrificed their best years to the workforce. Forcing them to work longer erodes dignity, health, and the fundamental promise of a well-deserved rest. Look at the words, the phrasing, the explanation. It is highly advanced and sophisticated, but more importantly, you are seeing everything in all these points being defined with an explanation. All 3 points have a why and how. We're not just saying this is important because of this pro or this con, but we're really explaining everything in our description. Notice also, this is important, how you finish each point, because this is your mark for coherence. When you are finishing a point, make it look like the finish. Forcing them to work longer erodes dignity, health, and the fundamental promise of a well-deserved rest. This looks like the ending. We have completed our thought. The same thing is what you would see towards the next 2 points, and this is something you can do, or you could also do something like therefore and hence and do a concluding sentence. But the most important thing is you make it sound like you're done with that point and don't add any new point here. Adding a new point is what completely reduces your marks. Make it sound like a finish so that you can use the connector and go towards your next point. After these body points, obviously, we're going to go towards our finish. That is going to sound something like this. Therefore, I stand firm by my opinion that, once again, we're saying we're firm, and these are the words you can copy or modify slightly. After these words, you simply restate your opinion. The retirement age must remain at 65 to preserve fairness, dignity, and the fundamental right to rest after a lifetime of contribution. So what we're doing here is simply saying everything that we said in our body parts and just summarizing them in these small words. That shows the examiner our ability to be structured, and this gives you the marks for coherence, because whatever you stated, you have now summarized it beautifully towards the end. That brings us to something that should be very crucial to you. CELPIP is important for your immigration, for your life basically. Get this exam done and you overcome this hurdle that's keeping you from your PR and your immigration dreams. To ensure you get it done the very first time, take our CELPIP 15-hour course. It is in the description. So is the shop link. We give you an improvement guarantee or all your money back, and you will see all these reviews right on the product page that is in the description. With that said, if you have been following this entire series, congratulations, because we're now at the final question. Question number 8 of your CELPIP speaking test, that random question. Why do I call it a random question is because this could be any sort of situation. Here we're in a wedding. In other cases, it could be you calling the towing company and describing the condition of your car. In another case, it could be a lost dog and you're calling the pet services to let them know about the dog and its description. It's always a different scene. But let's say we have something like this. How do we tackle this? In this case, you have a picture of a wedding. It says you have just arrived at a scenic outdoor wedding, which you're attending on behalf of a family member. The person you're talking to here is important to know. You're here on behalf of a family member. Perfect. Who couldn't make it? Describe the atmosphere, the decorations, and the mood of everyone present so that they can fully imagine the occasion. Great. This is a picture description. It is very similar to part 3, picture description. The only thing different here is you're talking to a family member who cannot make it. So you have to relate to them in this answer. Pretty simple. How do we do this? First of all, let's look at the 3 most important things. Always look at 3 because you usually don't have more than 3 points in that time limit. You're not able to do too many points. If you can, great, but 3 are imperative. Anything below would be less description. Let me analyze this picture. The first point, obviously, is the couple in the middle. I gotta talk about them. Obviously, they're the most important piece of the picture. The second thing would be these people sitting, the guests, and the third thing could be the background, the sunny nature of this picture, how bright it is, how positive it is. Perfect. I got my 3 things in my analysis, which I will do in my preparation time. Now, let's get into the answer. In the body, where we have all the main description of the picture, here is how I'm going to organize my 3 points. Talking about the couple, the audience, and the golden sun in the background. This is on your screen. Pause the video and read it so you can read it comfortably and analyze the use of vocabulary, academic words, complex sentences, and phrasing. Now, how do I put this body in between intro and conclusion? Well, here on your screen, you have the same body, but with the addition of the intro and the conclusion in this case. Remember, we were talking to a family member, so we gotta adapt it accordingly. Hey sis, I gotta tell you, you just missed out on this marvelous event. Let me describe this to you. And then you start with the description. Finish off with, I wish you were here. Well, there's always a next time. Okay? This really depends on who you are talking to and what scene you have. Intro and conclusions here are not going to have a template. This is very different than all the previous 7 questions we have covered in this series because, again, as I said, this is a random question. It always varies. So you gotta adapt intro and conclusion based on who you're talking to. The most important thing you need to remember is just be natural. How would you talk to a family member? Now again, if in this case I would say, hey sis, how are you? Long time no see. I would be lying to myself, and that is not the question. Your question stated that you're here on behalf of a family member. It's not someone formal. Similarly, you don't need to say take care, goodbye if you're just gonna go home to that person. So you don't say take care, goodbye. You just finish off with something that sounds like a conclusion where you would finish naturally in a real life situation. And that's it, guys. That finishes up our 8th question and this CELPIP series. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing, liking, and sharing. And if you have any questions about your CELPIP exam or speaking, comment down below. I would love to answer. Until next time, take care.